Hi. So first of all, thank you for coming to this video. It's going to be a little different, a little fun. But I'm excited for this Q&A, and I know that people are going to be excited to hear some of the answers. So let's start off with, what is a Scentsy consultant? So a Scentsy consultant is a representative, somebody who works for the company Scentsy. They are somebody who independently sells the product for them. It's a direct sales business, and so they kind of have the ability to run their own business with the guidelines of what Scentsy provides them, right? So, you know, they give you the product, they give you ideas, they give you stipulations. There are some compliant type things that you have to stick within to make it fair across the playing field for all of the consultants or the representatives. But for the most part, you're kind of running your business on your own. You're an independent consultant. And so you make money on a monthly basis, you sell product, you make commission, people join your team, you help them build their teams, and you make bonuses off of their sales and their businesses by helping them. So it's actually pretty simple, and I love the pay structure that they offer. Yeah. What made you join Scentsy? Like, what made you figure out that you wanted to join? That's a really good question. I tell people lots of times that I joined out of a hobby. I was staying at home at the time. I had just stopped working the corporate world. I actually was doing another direct sales business at the time. I had been with Avon for about 12 years. I was introduced to Scentsy through my daughter. She had a fundraiser her sophomore year, and it was super new back then. Nobody really knew who it was. Matter of fact, I remember buying a crock and a bar of blueberry cheesecake just to basically support her. Unfortunately, the bar was not labeled, and so when I ran out, it kind of was out of sight, out of mind. I never replenished it, and it kind of sat there for a couple years on my windowsill. The warmer did, with nothing. I did nothing with it. And then, unfortunately, my son's friend went missing, and a friend of mine, who at the time was a Scentsy consultant, I did not know that, wanted to do a fundraiser. And so between her and I with my Avon, we kind of combined forces. We did a fundraiser for the family, and so I was reintroduced to Scentsy at that time. And then by December of that year, I decided I was going to do this holiday extravaganza locally and invite some vendors, and I reached out to her to see if she wanted to do a table. No, she reached out to me. She had seen it advertised on Facebook, and she said, you know, you should have a table for Scentsy. And I was like, you're not going to be there. I'm not going to man it. Probably not a good idea. She said, I'm going to send you some stuff. Just set up a table, blah, 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 blah. So I did that. And at the end of the night, there was $300 worth of orders sitting on the table for Scentsy that I had not manned. And so it got me thinking. I had worked my butt off to do sales at my table to get approximately the same amount of money in sales. And so by the end of December, I ended up joining on a whim, 7 o'clock in the morning on the 30th of December. So I'm kind of a serial entrepreneur, so that's part of it. But the second part was, I knew I needed to do something to fill my time at home, and the other company really wasn't doing it for me, and so I joined Scentsy, and the rest really is history. What did you do before Scentsy? Like, what kind of job did you have? Well, I started off my working career. I've pretty much been in sales all the time, but I spent a good portion of my life in computers. So it was either working in an office that fixed computers, which is where I started, to teaching how to use software on computers, I then opened up my own business teaching corporate offices, so they would hire me. I'd go in, I'd learn how to use their software, and then I would go and teach the rest of the people how to use their software. The business was called Software Enhancement Services, and I did that for a few years. And then I went into computer sales. Then I went into training sales, computer training sales. So I was working for New Horizons Computer Learning for a while. And then I kind of broke off from the computer scene, and I was a district manager for Circle K in Florida. Totally off what I used to do. I mean, I've always been in sales though, for the most part. And then I really jumped off the ship and became a pharmacy technician. And that was my last job. Before I became a stay-at-home, I bartended, I waitressed, I did all of that stuff too. But I'm pretty well-versed in a lot of different things, and so I think that's kind of helped with my Scentsy career. But yeah, so my last job was a pharmacy technician, and prior to that I was a computer teacher and sales. Yeah. So this is kind of an odd question, but how long do you think you're gonna stay with Scentsy? Honestly, I think I'm a lifer. I'm here forever. It's a beautiful relationship that I have with this company and our life, because at this point my daughter is a business partner of mine. So when I'm no longer doing Scentsy, she takes over. And it's a willable company, which is just amazing to me. And so I think that this could potentially be something that generations in our family have. So I am here for the rest of my able time, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so what is your favorite thing about this job? I think it's the flexibility. So you know, it's very difficult when you're working in a corporate job, or just recently we had opened up a restaurant, and it is so hard to just take time off and go somewhere. And my kids live 8 hours away from me. And so in order for me to see them, I have to take time off to travel to them, spend time there, and then come home. And I would not even be close to nearly being able to spend as much time with them and my grandkids if I was still working in the corporate world, because I wouldn't be able to take the time off that I want. So I really think that the flexibility to do what I want, when I want, how I want, where I want, I can work this business from everywhere, anywhere. As long as I have my phone or my laptop, I can run this business. And so I think that flexibility is just, that's huge for me. Like, it really affects my life. It affects my home life. It affects my sanity. It's a big part of this. So I think that has to be the reason that my favorite thing about this job. All right, so if we turn the table a little bit, what's the hardest thing about your job? Honestly, I think it's probably just constantly doing it. Getting up, doing the business. I mean, I don't even think that it's hard. I think it's just effort, right? There's just constant effort, and you can't stop doing. You can't stop asking. You can't stop selling. You can't stop sharing. You can't stop, like, you just have to be very consistent, you know. And honestly, I don't know that I compare that to any other job that's out there. When you're working a job, you've got to be consistent. You've got to show up. You've got to constantly be working towards the next, right? And I think sometimes we forget that, and we become complacent, and we think it's just going to show up for us, but we have to show up for it. And I think that might be the hardest. Again, I don't know that it's hard. I think it's just consistent effort. You know, and if you're not willing to put in the time and you're not willing to put in the effort, then you're not going to get the results. It's just, that is kind of a cause and effect kind of thing, I feel. And so I think that would probably be the hardest thing. Again, I don't think it's hard. I think it's just consistent effort. Yeah. I know you've mentioned traveling. So where have you traveled with Scentsy? And did they pay for everything? That's probably the funnest part of my job, is traveling. I have traveled to so many places because I've had an opportunity, or was given an opportunity, to earn trips that myself could go on. Like, I've traveled by myself, I've traveled with my husband, I've traveled with my daughter, I've traveled with my sister, I've traveled with my mother. So it has given me so many opportunities to travel. So where have I gone? I've gone to Punta Cana, I've gone to Costa Rica, I've gone to Greece, I've gone to New York, I've gone to California, to Tennessee, Las Vegas, I've gone to New Zealand, I've gone to Alaska, I've gone to South Africa. I don't even know if I'm forgetting any. There are some that I'm forgetting, I am sure, but I have traveled and I have enjoyed it immensely. Totally immensely. And here's the thing. So many people are like, oh, that's the only reason that you're earning those is because you have been in Scentsy for so long. I'm sorry, but there are so many new consultants that have earned these trips. Matter of fact, we just had one. They went to Hawaii that I didn't earn. But there are some newer people that did earn it. So it has nothing to do with longevity. It has nothing to do with your tenure, your title, anything. It has to do with the effort that you put in and how badly you want to travel. I know I wanted that Hawaii trip really bad. I missed it by 600 points. But listen, that just motivated me for the next one. I'm going to go to the next one. I'm going to the next one. I bet you get asked this a lot, but can you actually make money with Scentsy? You know, I get asked that kind of a lot. And it's kind of a touchy subject. Some people don't like talking about money. Some people do. I find it motivating. It's just how I am. But you also have to be careful because not everybody's going to make the same amount of money, right? When it's commission-based, not everybody's making the same. So, can you make money with Scentsy? Absolutely. There are millionaires that are Scentsy consultants. There are people that are making their car payment with Scentsy. Like, you got the entire gamut. And honestly, it's going to depend on how much effort you want to put in. It's going to depend on how much energy you give it and the types of things that you do, right? I mean, income producing activities are going to produce income. But if you're just scrolling the web and you're, you know, trying to make connections and stuff, that's great. But at the same token, it's not always going to generate income. You know, there's a difference between handing somebody a dollar bill versus throwing it in the air and hoping they catch it. So, can you make money with Scentsy? Absolutely. I will say that I have replaced my pharmacy technician income plus some with Scentsy. So I'll just leave that there for you. Okay, so would you consider this a hobby, a part-time job, a full-time job? Oh God, absolutely full-time. This is my full-time gig. This is all I do. And I am thrilled to be able to do that. I don't know. I mean, I think it started off as a hobby. Now, here's the funny thing. Hobbies are things that you enjoy doing. I still enjoy doing it, so I guess I can still call it a hobby. But it is my full-time job. I don't work any other job. I don't do any other income producing. This is it. Can it be any of those levels? Sure. Like, you can still have it as a hobby. You can still do it part-time. I will say that the majority of consultants that are out there right now probably do it part-time. And then they do it enough that they can get to a point where they can quit their corporate job or quit the other job that they're doing, and they do it full time too. So, I mean, it really depends on what you're needing, you know? All right, lastly, what do you think has personally happened to you because of Scentsy? Like, has anything changed in your life? Kind of talk about that, if you would. That is a super loaded question. And so here is the deal. I was a negative Nancy. Like, I think that I will be writing a book at some point called the Eeyore Syndrome, because I was a super negative person. Super. I always felt that I was dealt a raw hand and that I just had to deal with it and I had to suck it up, and life just was horrible. And I'm pretty sure that I attracted a lot of that into my life because of that attitude and that thought process. But Scentsy has really been a catalyst to some pretty amazing things in my life, and not just the physical aspect of traveling or meeting people or whatever, but internally it has helped me believe in myself. It's helped me be a more positive person. And again, I don't mean rainbows and unicorns. I mean positivity in the effect of overcoming obstacles and learning how to be a better person at that. But I think the biggest thing for me that has evolved or shown itself through the process of being a Scentsy consultant is that I really know what my purpose is. That I know that I'm here to help others figure out why they're here, to figure out their why, to understand the difference between goals and your why. And so personally, I just think that I've grown so much, like so much as a person, that I can now allow blessings into my life, but not only allow them into my life, I can actually bless others. So yeah, it's been a big catalyst for some personal changes in my life, and I just feel so grateful and so honored to be part of a company that loves its people the way that it does, respects its people the way that it does, cherishes the fairness of everybody in the company. And so I'm just, yeah, that was a loaded question, and it was a good question, but it's been an amazing thing for me, and I'm very grateful. That was awesome. A little strange, right? Me interviewing myself, but hey, that was fun. I thought for days, how was I going to do this video? But I think we figured it out. I hope that answered some of the questions that you guys ask me on the regular. And if you have any other questions you would like me to answer, ask them in the comments below, and maybe I can do another video. All right, thanks, and have a great day.